Welcome to our class on protein and hydration. This is Vanessa Imus, dietitian at University of Washington Center for Weight Loss and Metabolic Surgery. And this is one of our classes for the Eat Well and Be Well series. So the objectives today focused on protein. We're going to learn why protein's needed in our diet, identify sources of protein, calculate your protein needs and your protein intake, understand how protein can help with weight loss, and create a meal plan to meet your daily protein needs. And then we are going to put a plan into action by setting clear goals. For hydration, we're going to learn why hydration is important, know what your hydration needs are, understand how hydration can help with weight loss, and come up with ways to help meet your hydration needs, and then again, put a plan into action by setting some clear goals. So we'll start with what is protein. So protein is made up of hundreds to thousands of amino acids that are linked together in a long chain. You can see at the bottom of the page a bunch of different amino acids form together, create a peptide, and a bunch of those are going to create an actual protein. And we have essential amino acids and non-essential amino acids. So the essential amino acids, there are 9 of those, and what it means being essential is that they cannot be made by the body, but they are required for normal body functioning. The non-essential amino acids are ones that can be made by the body from the essential amino acids or from the breakdown of body proteins. So why do we need protein? It's a component of every cell in the human body, which is needed for proper growth and proper development. It helps your body build and repair cells and body tissue. It's a major part of your skin, your hair, nails, muscle, bone, internal organs, and found in almost all bodily fluids. And protein's required for most processes going on in the body, which would include blood clotting, fluid balance, your immune response, vision, and production of hormones and enzymes. Most protein-rich foods also contain vitamins and minerals that we need, which would include things like B vitamins, minerals like choline, copper, iron, phosphorus, selenium, vitamin D, vitamin E, and zinc. Now, if we look at what foods contain protein, we've got it in 2 sections here where you can see the animal foods. Most people, when they're thinking of protein, they're thinking of things like chicken and pork and beef. You can also see dairy products will be a source of protein, eggs. And then we also have protein supplements, things like whey proteins or collagen proteins. And then we also have plant foods, plant sources of protein, which would be from things like beans or peas or lentils. You'll also get some protein from nuts and seeds, soy products like tempeh or tofu. You get a little bit in grains and vegetables to varying degrees. And then also there are going to be some plant-based protein supplements such as pea protein, hemp protein, egg protein. So why protein for weight loss? So for me, from a nutrition standpoint, this is like my magic pill if I had one for weight loss. Protein is going to be really, really, really helpful on your weight loss journey. A big reason for that is because it does help decrease hunger hormones. So you're producing less hunger when you're making sure to get protein throughout the day. And it increases your satiety hormones, or what helps you feel full longer. Also helps to reduce sugar cravings. A lot of people will report when they do add enough protein in their diet that they have far less cravings for sugar-rich foods. It helps to keep your blood sugar stable throughout the day, which is going to help with your energy levels. Helps to sustain lean body mass. So we need to take in enough protein on average day in, day out so that we are not breaking down our muscles to get the protein that our body needs to do all those processes we talked about earlier. So how much protein is recommended? So we recommend about 20% of your calories to come from protein. So we're really recommending sort of a moderate, balanced diet approach. 20% of your calories from protein. So what does that equate to? Because a lot of times we're not talking in terms of calories worth of protein. You can see in this example we would take, if our calorie goal was 1,600 calories per day, and you should get this information from either your dietitian or your doctor at our clinic. So if our calorie goal was 1,600 calories per day, we can multiply that by the 20% or 0.2, and that comes up with 320 calories worth of protein. And then since there are 4 calories per gram of protein, we then divide by 4, and this is going to give us our target number, 80 grams of protein. And that would be our daily goal if we were on a 1,600 calorie a day budget. So your numbers may be a little bit different depending if you're 1,800 calories, 1,200 calories. You'll have to do the math, which is what that little purple box is for. That's kind of your homework, write in the answers, work through that to figure out your daily protein budget. So how do you meet those daily needs? How do you meet, if it was 80 grams a day, how do you meet that goal? Really, you want to try to get protein at every meal, and that would be really trying to get 3 meals per day. So that might be somewhere between 15 to 20 grams of protein at each meal to hit your daily budget. And that's about 25% of your daily protein needs at each meal. So we're kind of taking your total daily protein needs and divide by 4. And that's going to give you how much per meal. And that's 3 meals a day. That last one, that 4th number, you're going to divide up into the number of snacks you have per day. And so again, we've got the little purple box so you can figure out what your grams per meal are. And with the protein, we do really want to try to get that dispersed throughout the day so that you get all the benefits of protein, like stabilizing blood sugar and limiting cravings and helping you feel full longer. If you met your protein needs for the day, but most of that was at the end of the day, you're not going to be getting all those benefits that you would get if you had it spread out throughout the day. So those are our targets. And here gives you some visual examples. I've got this written on the next slide, but it gives you visual examples of what 7 grams of protein looks like. A lot of times that may be referred to as 1 serving of protein. And so you may have 3 servings of protein at 1 meal, but this just gives you an example of what 1 serving may be. So you can see like an egg is going to be about 7 grams of protein. If you have 1 ounce of chicken or fish, that's going to be about 7 grams of protein. We've got a string cheese, a couple tablespoons of some kind of nut butter. These will all be examples of 7 grams of protein. And here you can see in the terms of words that refer to those pictures. So if you wanted to do cottage cheese, you get 7 grams of protein in a 1/4 cup. Not that you're limited to a 1/4 cup, but that's just how to calculate it. So you may have a 1/2 cup of cottage cheese with breakfast. Great, you've got 14 grams of protein right there. Or you may have a 1/2 cup of beans for dinner along with a cup of quinoa, and you've got 14 grams of protein right there. And you could probably see when you're doing your calorie tracking that each of these is going to have a different influence on your total calorie budget. 1 egg is 70 calories versus if you're going to be doing 1 ounce of beef or a 1/4 cup of nuts, the calories are going to increase quite a bit. Here we've got a typical day to meet protein needs. So this is just an example for a 1,500 calorie day diet and a 2,000 calorie day diet. And again, this is aiming for that 20% of your calories from protein, and that's where that number 75 grams of protein comes up, and then where this number 100 grams of protein, where that comes from. So you can see it's pretty moderate. A couple eggs for breakfast is going to give you about 15 grams of protein, and over here, if we need a little bit more, we're going to add some black beans, a 1/4 cup of nuts for a snack. You're going to need a little bit more calories on this diet, so you could add a piece of fruit. And this is going to give you about 7 grams of protein for that 1/4 cup of nuts. 3 ounces of chicken with lunch would give you 25 grams. Bump that up a little bit to get a little more protein on the higher calorie day diet. And even throwing in a little bit of nuts. Another snack, string cheese is about 7 grams of protein. Greek yogurt is going to vary quite a bit. Could be 10 grams of protein. It could be 15, depending on the variety you buy. So you'll have to look at the label for that. And then same thing with dinner. If I'm going to do something like salmon, I might have 3 ounces on a 1,500 calorie a day diet. Bump that up a little bit on a 2,000 calorie a day diet. And then still, if you wanted a snack in the evening, you'd have room for a little bit more protein, a little bit more calories over here. Doing that 1 tablespoon of peanut butter may give you another 3 or 4 grams of protein. But you can see how there's protein with pretty much every meal and most these snacks, because that's where you're going to get the most benefit, getting it throughout the day. So thinking back, meal planning to meet your protein needs. So just take a couple minutes to really think about your morning and what you had for breakfast. Were you hitting some protein targets with breakfast? Were you getting close to 15 grams? Or what would you need to add in order to get there? Or think back to last night's dinner or what you're going to have for dinner tonight, and think of how you might be able to hit that protein goal. So we often get asked about what about adding protein drinks, and that can definitely be an option if you're struggling to meet your protein needs. That could be an option to help. So what do you want to look for? You really want to look for low sugar, less than 10 grams of sugar, and you want to look for high protein, where a serving is going to give you at least 20 grams of protein, and that could be from a pre-made shake or a powder. There's some examples here. Here's a couple powders, like a whey protein powder. If you wanted to go a vegan route, Garden of Life is an option. And then there's pre-made options like Fairlife, Premier Protein, or Gain that come already pre-made for you. So benefits, they're going to be easy option for on the go. So something you can always have on hand and go to. If your typical breakfast, you love oatmeal and you don't really want to move to eggs or something, you could have a protein drink on the side and hit your protein target while still having the breakfast you want. Drawbacks are that they do tend to be more processed, sometimes with artificial ingredients or preservatives, and then usually lower nutrients, lower fiber, lower antioxidants than if you actually had the whole food. So ideally, we wouldn't want you to replace all your meals with protein drinks, but use it for if you are struggling to meet your protein needs. That would be a good way to prioritize that. So you can see on this slide that there are many different ways to meet your protein needs and varying calorie intake as well. So you can rely on some processed foods, some protein bars, some protein drinks to hit your target. Each of these examples is about 100 grams, or move more towards the whole foods, or move more towards plant-based proteins. In each way is going to get you to where you need to go. It's just thinking about what's my protein at every snack or meal and incorporating some of these protein-rich foods. Now we're going to move on to hydration. So hydration, what it really means, providing an adequate amount of liquid to bodily tissues. That's kind of the definition you'll get. And the overall goal is going to be about 64 ounces. And you'll hear all sorts of different numbers, and there's no completely accurate number. You're going to find a lot of information in different research articles. 64 ounces is kind of the average, where it's usually going to be enough for people and not be too much. Sometimes you might hear half your body weight in ounces, but if you're somebody that's 300 pounds, 150 ounces is a lot of water. It really has more to do with your lean body mass that needs hydrating fluids versus fat mass. So that number is not going to be accurate, but that's the one I commonly hear people ask questions about. 64 ounces is going to get you enough to stay hydrated. What counts as hydrating beverages? So water, number one, but also herbal teas are going to count, electrolyte beverages. You can see over here like the Vitamin Water Zero or Propel. Sparkling water is going to count. You can even do things like Crystal Light, Mio Drops, True Lemon little powders. Any of those added to water, those are going to count as well as your hydrating fluids. The things that don't count are going to be your caffeinated beverages like coffee. Yes, coffee is made out of water, but it's dehydrating, so it's kind of a wash. Protein drinks, protein itself is a little dehydrating, and that's also why you want to make sure, as we're focused on the protein, that we're also focused on the hydration. And then any sugar-sweetened beverages, those will not count towards the hydrating beverages because we don't want to promote those. So why do we need hydrating fluids? You can see from this picture there's a lot of water in the body in various places. Your brain, 75% water. Your blood's made up of quite a bit of water. And the functions, so with your blood being made of 83% water, you can think of if you're dehydrated, your blood is going to be more coagulated. So you're not moving your blood, which carries nutrients and oxygen, that's not moving through your system as efficiently as if you're well hydrated. So it can lead you to be fatigued, not get nutrient access as well to your cells. And then also water helps to regulate our body temperature. It also is really necessary for removing waste. So we talked a little bit about protein and getting enough protein in the diet. And the water is going to help to remove the excess. When the protein breaks down into urea, it helps to remove the excess urea, which is good for the kidneys. And you can kind of think of your kidneys like a sponge just cleaning up gunk all day. And so if we're not rinsing that sponge really well, then it's not functioning as optimally as it should. And even our muscles are made of quite a bit of water. So any sort of dehydration will actually hinder performance. If you are into working out, you will notice a difference. Being dehydrated, it's going to be a lot harder. So making sure you're well hydrated, you'll get a better workout in. Also helps to protect and cushion vital organs. Over here, aids in cushioning the joints. So between our joints, we have synovial fluid, which is made of water. If we're dehydrated, then that synovial fluid isn't going to be as cushioning between the joints. So you may have more joint pain if you are dehydrated. Why hydrating fluids for weight loss? So helps reduce the feelings of hunger that could actually be signs of thirst. Often our body will say, hey, you're hungry when you're actually thirsty. So making sure you're well hydrated can help with eating less. Also helps the body release extra water stores. So if we're dehydrated, our body sends a signal that says, hey, hang on to all of the water in the body. And so once we do get enough water, we may find like that we are losing weight pretty rapidly for a week because we're releasing those extra water stores. And you may find you urinate a lot more that first week or so when you're actually staying hydrated. It usually subsides after about a week. We talked about how it improves muscle strength and stamina, which would improve your workouts, which would help with burning more calories. Reduces fatigue related to dehydration because, again, your blood is carrying oxygen to your cells. So if your blood is moving freely through your system, it can more effectively carry that oxygen to your cells. And also improves mental health. So there's research to show that dehydration can lead to poor mood, poor short-term memory, and increased anxiety. And then also our metabolism requires a lot of water to function. So we want to make sure it's functioning optimally by giving it the hydration that it needs. So all that sounds good, but implementing it is another thing. So tips and tricks for increasing water intake. Start the morning with a glass of water before your coffee or before your breakfast. Some people make a deal with themselves that they cannot have their coffee until they drink a glass of water, or they cannot refill their coffee until they have a glass of water. Sometimes it's helpful to place a bottle of water, place a glass of water in your bathroom, wherever you're getting ready for work as a reminder to start drinking. If you start first thing in the day, it usually tends to kickstart that thirst mechanism and makes it easier to stay on top of it. There are water alarms you could set on your calendar. You could set an Outlook alarm or an alarm on your phone, or there's different apps. These are just some that were free and well rated. That could also be reminders to drink more water. Make sure you have access to water. That's a key piece of it too. So either carry a water bottle or keep a glass next to you. Take it on the go, or keep a water bottle at work, keep one in the car, keep one everywhere you go. Know how many ounces it holds so that you know to get to 64 ounces, I need to finish 2 of these bottles, or I need to finish 4 of these bottles. What's the number? And there's some fancier water bottles out there now that will track your water intake as you drink, or that have inspirational lines on it that'll say, you've got it, drink this by noon, drink this by 4, and give you targets. Track your intake, so know where you're at. That could be, you could just put something simple like a Post-it right next to where your workspace is and tally every time you refill your water bottle or your glass. I had somebody that would put rubber bands if they needed to get through 4 bottles in a day. They might put 4 rubber bands at the top of their water bottle, and every time they finished one, move one rubber band down to the bottom so you can see how many you've gotten through over the course of the day. Or you can even track, if you're using a calorie tracker, a lot of those will track them for you too. And then making it appealing. If you despise water, what can you do to make it appealing? So you could do like a fruit-infused water. There's some pitchers that you can do, fruit infusions, leave it in the fridge. Or you could add like the Crystal Light, the pure lemon type flavor packets. And so now we're going to go on and set goals and intentions. So it's great to have all this information, but most important is what are we going to do with this information? And so I'll bring up on the screen here in a minute how we're going to set goals, and you'll have access to this handout. When you want to set goals for the first 1 or 2 weeks, track your progress for those goals, and assess how you're doing, and then identify barriers, how you're going to overcome those barriers, and then modify the goals for the following 1 or 2 weeks. And just keep repeating until you're able to meet your needs. It's not about perfection, but just making progress. So I'll bring that up on the screen here. So this will be where you will set your goals for the week. And I just want to run you through a couple examples for effective goal setting. So when you're setting a goal, set something very specific and related to the information that we discussed today. And just make it 1 or 2 goals. It doesn't have to be 2 if that feels overwhelming. Just focus on one thing. But the idea is to start right away so that while this information is fresh in your mind, you are making the changes and working towards making progress. So regarding protein, my first goal may be to commit to eating 75 grams of protein at least 3 days per week. So again, I'm not hitting 7 days a week. I'm just focused on 3 days per week to start with, because that's going to feel like a push to me, but not overwhelming. So then you have got to think through what are possible barriers you might encounter, and then also what are possible strategies to make this happen. So one of the possible barriers is I don't have any high protein snacks in the house. So it's going to be hard to hit my protein needs because my snacks are all fruit or chips or crackers. So what do I need to do? Knowing that that is a possible barrier, I'll go to the grocery store on Saturday to purchase higher protein snacks such as Greek yogurt and nuts to have on hand. So really think through what may be stopping you from hitting that protein target, if that's what your goal is, and what you can do to overcome that. And some of this you may not be able to think of until you actually go through and try to track that goal and realize that you're not hitting it. And then you may be able to think of, what was my barrier? What can I do to make this happen? Another one related to hydration may be that I will commit to drinking at least 48 ounces of water every day. So again, I'm not hitting the 64 ounces because I know right now I'm maybe getting 24 ounces of water a day, but 48 would be progress. So what do I need to do to make that happen, or what barriers are going on? Well, I don't carry water with me typically, so that's a barrier. So I'll need to purchase a new water bottle that holds at least 24 ounces and bring it with me everywhere I go, aiming to refill it at least once daily. So think through what might get in the way. Maybe I don't like water. I'm going to try a bunch of different flavorings and see if there's one that I like. I'll buy some Crystal Light and I'll buy some Miho and some lemon drops and see which one I actually like. And then down here, this little calendar, this is where you're going to track your progress. So my first goal is 3 days a week. So every time I hit that goal, I'm going to mark it off, put an X, put a smiley face, a gold star, whatever makes you happy and keeps you going. Put that so you can assess your progress. Goal number 2, here I was trying to hit 48 ounces every day. So I'm aiming for every day. And this, I would do it for 2 weeks. And then I would kind of reassess. Okay, I did good with the first goal. I I hit 75 grams of protein 3 days this week. I'm going to redo my goals, and I'm going to try to go for 6 days this week. And then I would track again here. So you definitely want to print this out and keep it somewhere that you will see every day. So if it's on your fridge, if it's on a desk, on your bathroom counter, wherever you're going to see as that constant reminder that these are the things that you're focused on for the next couple weeks, so that you can know how you're doing and how to make changes. So hopefully everybody puts this into action so that they can utilize the information that you've gotten today. And thank you for attending. Have a great day.